So good morning. It's like 8 a.m. and with the whole Thanksgiving fling in 2 days, I'm back home. So we're just gonna get these highlights out of the way. And Saints faced the Falcons Thursday night, and this was a defensive contest. Both quarterbacks played well. Why did Breeze perform better? Breeze threw two passing touchdowns, and Ryan didn't throw any. That's all you really need to know. And that still doesn't answer the previous question. See, Breeze had better pass protection. Rob Ryan's boys did a hell of a job on defense, getting constant pressure on Matt Ryan. And Jimmy Graham had the receiving touchdown. So, yeah, Saints won 17-13. Real shocker, though, is that it was only a 4-point victory when your quarterback throws two touchdowns, no interceptions like Drew Brees. You usually expect a double-digit victory. Jets-Ravens, Nick Folk opened up the game with a 27-yard field goal. Jets gained a 3-0 lead. New York's only score of the game, Jason Tucker gets a 30-yard field goal. Tucker had three more field goals after tacking on 3 points to tie the game. Talk about a three-cubed hat trick with three field goals. And Jason Tucker, more field goals, but yeah. Jason Tucker helps the Ravens win. Ravens are 5-6 now. Steelers Browns. Joe Hayden was flawless in coverage, limiting AJ Green to 2 receptions for 7 receiving yards against the Cincinnati Bengals last week. How would he fare against Antonio Brown of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Hayden was effective against Antonio Brown in man coverage. You really saw Hayden press Brown real hard with physical play. Zone coverage was a different story. Antonio Brown excelled running vertical streak routes against Hayden. Brown really excelled in the deep passing game at wide receiver, and you saw Hayden's evident struggle in zone coverage. And you see it. Antonio Brown, he illustrates his speed in the red zone against Hayden. William Gay knocks Jason Campbell out of the game. And then Gay continues to give Cleveland's quarterback shit. Brandon Whedon's like, I'm going to avenge Campbell. And then Gay's like, no, I'm going to get a pick 6 in the dog pound. Steelers win 27-11 thanks to William Gay's hard on for destroying Cleveland. A lot of people hate Cleveland because Cleveland sucks. And some people say Cleveland rocks. But yeah. Josh Gordon managed to make this game salvageable for the Browns. 14 receptions, 237 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown for the Browns receiver. Pittsburgh faces the 5-6 Ravens in a do-or-die game that will have major NFL playoff implications because the winner of that game will be 6-6 with 4 games to go. They'll have the final wild card spot, and they'll have a lot of momentum working in their favor, and all they'll have to do is close the sale. Close the sale in December, build that momentum, and you'll be the team that's considered the dark horse to win the Super Bowl. All you got to do is build up the suspense, create the anticipation, and you're the team that people are going to bet on in Las Vegas. They're going to lose money by betting on you. And Peyton Manning's probably going to take the AFC. Buccaneers versus Lions. Tampa Bay's secondary deserves a lot of credit in this win. How did the secondary achieve credibility? For starters, lots of guys stepped up. Darrelle Revis blanketed Calvin Johnson early in this game before he left the contest injured. Matthew Stafford threw 4 interceptions because his secondary anticipated the ball. Guys like Jonathan Banks and Leonard Johnson made plays happen at the boundary and nickel, really limiting what Detroit can do. There was the blocked punt and then Chris Durham fumble in the fourth quarter. Simply put, on offense, Mike Glennon delivered by displaying tremendous deep ball accuracy in this contest and playing turnover-free football. And when Mike Glennon plays turnover-free football, the Buccaneers always have a chance. But yes, karma was the key factor on defense because 4 interceptions, a blocked punt, fumble for Detroit near the red zone that resulted in a Tampa Bay turnover where the Buccaneers got possession of the ball. All that karma led to a 3rd straight win for Tampa. The Buccaneers are riding a lot of momentum right now. Can Mike Glennon be the guy? No. He's done well against mediocre secondaries. First win came against Miami on Monday night. He did better against Atlanta, a quality Atlanta Falcons secondary with Desmond Trufant. You've got Asante Samuel, William Moore, Thomas DeCoud, a quality Falcons secondary that has no pass rush. So, yeah, Tampa Bay gets the right time in the pocket from their offensive linemen. Then, yeah, Mike Glennon could pick apart that secondary. And then you've got the Detroit Lions that have Chris Houston. I mean, the secondary did phenomenal to start the year, and it was like, this is a dark horse to go to the Super Bowl, but now the secondary is playing like crap. This was one of those weeks where Matthew Stafford was mentally frustrated psychologically, and it came back to bite the team. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers played devil's advocate in Week 12. Vikings-Packers, this game resulted in a 26-26 tie. And that bums me out because Christian Ponder is capable of beating Green Bay on the road without Aaron Rodgers. Now it's just like he's milking it. Put Josh Freeman in, see what he can do, because this is unacceptable for Vikings fans. So watch your star quarterback that you drafted in 2011 just tie with the Packers on the road. You lose to Green Bay at home in a very manageable game after beating the Packers at home the previous season. It's like, come on. Thanks for playing Ponder. Josh Freeman's going to start the rest of the season, even if he's injured. Jaguars, Texans, Maurice Jones-Drew runs wild early. Jaguars score a touchdown in the first quarter and win 13-6 in a defensive contest. Middle linebacker Paul Posluszny summarized this game for the Jaguars. His eye contact and recognition of the quarterback was key, vital, essential in Jacksonville's victory. Case Keenum is superb. Is Keenum pedestrian? Perhaps. The bottom line is the Jaguars won because Posluszny had 11 solo tackles, 3 assisted tackles on defense. Keeping Keenum from throwing a passing touchdown on your defense and limiting the running game to 77 rushing yards, no rushing touchdowns, is how you lead by example at middle linebacker on defense. Give him a round of applause to Paul Posluszny. Yeah, you can give Penn State's defensive coordinators credit even though they're in jail. San Diego Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Chargers won 41-38. For those that play fantasy football, all you needed to do is watch Phillip Rivers clash against Jamal Charles in this epic duel. Would the arm of Rivers or the speed of Charles win at Arrowhead Stadium? Jamal Charles had 14 carries, 115 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Charles finished the day with 27 fantasy points. Your move, Rivers. Rivers was 27 for 39 in the pocket, 392 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. Rivers got his owners 33 fantasy points. 33 is greater than 27. Fantasy football matters. Reacting properly to pressure matters. Career games matter. As the Chargers get a critical win, go to 5-6, remain in the wild card race. The Chiefs lose again. Back-to-back losses for the Chiefs, and Kansas City faces Denver, who may or may not be coming off a loss to the New England Patriots. Keep watching. Carolina Panthers versus the Miami Dolphins. Newton came off an impressive career win against my Patriots last week on Monday Night Football. How would he respond to build off that momentum? Early in the first quarter, Newton got the right pass protection, and he connected with wide receiver Steve Smith. Left tackle Jordan Gross was sloppy in the first half. He allowed Deion Jordan and Cameron Wake to inflict sacks on Cam Newton. Those sacks proved to be vital as Newton tossed a pick to Nolan Carroll near the end of the first half, and that set up a field goal. The guy that set up the tempo for Miami early was wide receiver Mike Wallace. Wallace caught a pass that gave Miami the lead. Scram Newton, I like to call him, based on the way he played, he's led by example. Scram Newton scrambling some sunny side eggs down in South Florida with a first down to move the chains. And then Scram Newton gives Miami some scrammy spam mail. Touchdown Panthers. Newton gets the rushing touchdown by rushing up the middle. Great blocking by center Ryan Khalil. Run blocking to disable Miami's defensive tackles. And Carolina cuts the Dolphins' lead from double digits to 4 points. Fourth quarter, we see Newton distribute By distribute, we mean witnessing Newton being critical with his targets in crunch time during the fourth quarter. Steve Smith, Ted Ginn Jr., and tight end Greg Olsen were all key assets in Carolina's comeback win. At the end of the day, Carolina won this game because of Newton's clutch play. The Chicago Bears versus the St. Louis Rams. Rams win 42-21. Josh McCown threw turnovers, and Kellen Clemens didn't. That was the difference between these two less than stellar backups. Indianapolis Colts versus the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona was simply money in this game. Carson Palmer and head coach Bruce Arians went up to Andrew Luck and they were like, "Go Luck yourself." Cards win 40-11. Palmer's stats showcase this performance through the air. Carson Palmer, 314 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and no picks. Michael Floyd, 104 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns by his wingman, the veteran, the teammate, the go-to guy, Larry Fitzgerald, 2 receiving touchdowns. Receiving touchdowns matter. Great distribution by Arizona's passing game. The loss of Reggie Wayne was huge since this felt like another Cardinals win where Patrick Peterson ran opposed at cornerback due to lousy play at wide receiver by the opposition. And when Peterson draws these easy matchups at wide receiver, Arizona's odds of winning increase exponentially. And because Peterson's one of the best corners in the NFL, when he doesn't have to face a quality receiver, it basically ensures an Arizona win as long as Carson Palmer avoids turnovers. Titans versus the Raiders. Titans win 23-19. Oakland remembers the Titans even if they have Ryan Fitzpatrick instead of Jake Locker. Cowboys-Giants. Cowboys deliver in the clutch. Romo sweeps Eli. Feels like an age since a Cowboys fan could say that with dignity. And yeah, Dallas does have bragging rights this year in New York. I don't know if it's the Super Bowl host jinx, because teams that host the Super Bowl tend to do poorly in the regular season during the year they host the Super Bowl. And the Cowboys swept the Giants. We rarely see that happen. So it's like, this is a milestone for Dallas fans. And Jerry Jones is like, yeah, this is good enough. We swept the Giants. We didn't make the playoffs this year, but we swept the Giants. We're good. Because that's all Jerry Jones cares about, is the fact that the team did something right. Even if they didn't win the Super Bowl. They did something right. They swept the Giants. This is good enough. Broncos versus Patriots. Von Miller takes the crowd out of the game at Gillette Stadium with an epic fumble recovery for a touchdown. Miller also had 8 total tackles and 2 sacks in the contest, besides the defensive touchdown that set the tone for Denver. Broncos led 7-0. Noshawn Moreno with a rushing touchdown. 14-0 Denver. Duke Ihinacho forces a fumble. Turnover results in a Denver field goal. Denver led 17-0 after 1. Way to step up by Denver. Really set the tone early in this contest, establishing momentum in New England. Second quarter, Jacob Tamme catches a touchdown pass from Peyton Manning. Denver led 24-0 at halftime. Peyton Manning never lost the lead at halftime. Denver's got this, right? Let's see. Second half, whole new ball game. Julian Edelman with a 5-yard pass from Tom Brady. Touchdown Patriots. 24-7, Denver. Brandon Bolden posted a 1-yard run before Brady fired a 6-yard touchdown pass to Rob Gronkowski. Pats cut the deficit to 3 points. Fourth quarter, Julian Edelman catches a 14-yard pass from Tom Brady. Patriots lead 28-24. Gronkowski with a field goal. Patriots lead 31-24. Demaryius Thomas gets a receiving touchdown late in the game, ties it at 31, sends the contest to overtime. Overtime, Gronkowski shows up. New England wins 34-31. Final game, 49ers versus Redskins. We can all agree that Josh Wilson sucks in coverage. ESPN blatantly illustrated this by showing SportsCenter highlights this morning of Colin Kaepernick torching Josh Wilson. And it's not Kaepernick's decisive decision-making. Psych, yes it is, but it's also largely in part to the receiving of wide receiver Anquan Bolden and the masculinity of tight end Vernon Davis with his sick bench presses and vertical weights and all this other combine shit that oozes Mel Kiper Jr. The bottom line is Vernon Davis and Anquan Bolden both did their stuff against Josh Wilson, and you have to applaud Colin Kaepernick for exploiting Wilson with such ease. Exploiting him the way Justin Timberlake exploited Janet Jackson during the Super Bowl 38 halftime show. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You look at the way San Francisco delivered on offense to establish a tone, make a statement. It was a thing of beauty in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. On defense, the linebackers took shit over. Guys like Alden Smith and Ahmad Brooks led by example by generating constant pressure on the quarterback. Guys like Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis clogged up the middle to disable the running lanes. And Smith and Brooks weren't just rushing RG3, they were also disabling the run game in general. And when all four of these linebackers, Smith, Brooks, Bowman, and Willis, are on the same page, it's pretty much impossible to score on the 49ers. And this was just one of those games where the 49ers were clicking everywhere. The offensive line was clicking. Kaepernick was clicking. The linebackers were clicking. And when the 49ers play like that, bam, 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 they're going to win 9 out of 10 times. Even if it's a slugfest and you work to get the points, it's still going to be a 27-20 or 24-21 type of game where San Francisco prevails because they put that much more pop, that much more teamwork into the game. And Jim Harbaugh can take a win like this and say, this is how you go get them, boys. I want you to play like this every single week. And wins like this late in the season around this time of the year, they are huge. They are paramount in building momentum so you can get the more wins, get more victories, and triumph in the NFL playoffs. And as far as the Redskins go, Robert Griffin III needs to game plan harder. It's not that he's not psychologically prepared. His teammates aren't as psychologically as prepared as him. And that's on him because he's the quarterback. He's the leader. And he has to say, I got to be a hard ass about this shit and prepare my teammates that much harder. Want to know the real behavioral statistic that tells you about Washington's 6 points? San Francisco's linebackers combined for 29 total tackles, with the outside linebackers rushing the quarterback combining for 4 sacks. The square root of San Francisco's sample size at pass rusher is 2. Yes, we're using behavioral statistics to break down how RG3 got his ass kicked on Monday Night Football, while John Gruden's doing his Gruden grinder bullshit or whatever on SportsCenter. 49ers win 27-6. Chris Ransom signing off.